Hello everyone and welcome to today's practice sharing. Recently, I've been studying the chapter The Assembly on Inspiring the Bodhisattva's Superior Intent from the Ratnakuta Sutra Maharatnajuta Sutra. It records the magnificent vows made by 60 bodhisattvas before the Buddha. Two lines, in particular, hit me right where it hurts. The original text says, World-honored one. From this day until the end of the future, if I ever harbor a mind of contempt toward or claiming they are not as superior as I am, I would then be deceiving the Tathagata. At first glance, many might feel this is too far removed from our daily lives. We aren't bodhisattvas, and we've never consciously thought about looking down on Shravakas or Pratikabudhas. But if you peel back the layers and look at the core of the scripture, you'll find it addresses a hidden and fatal chronic disease deep within the human heart, the mind of contempt. Today, I want to use the scripture to discuss why looking down on others destroys everything we've worked so hard to accumulate, and why the truly strong choose to place themselves as low as the dust. Part E. Don't let superiority become an obstacle to your practice. In life, we often fall into a trap of spiritual superiority. For instance, if you've read a lot of books, you might look down on the uneducated. If you study Mahayana Buddhism and seek to save all sentient beings, you might look down on Hinayana practitioners who seek only their own liberation. You might even feel that because you were more diligent or self-disciplined, you can sneer at those around you who only care about eating, drinking, and playing. Many believe that because the path they walk is higher, they are naturally superior. However, the 60 bodhisattvas in the Ratnakuta Sutra vow that the moment such a thought arises, one is deceiving the Tathagata. Why? Because a true bodhisattva practitioner sees only the merits of sentient beings and ignores their faults. This isn't just about being morally upright, it is a form of supreme wisdom. The Siddhagarbha 10-wheel sutra explains this clearly. If you hold contempt for the Shruvaka or Pratikabudha paths, you are essentially slandering the Dharma. By labeling those methods as low level, you are denying the Buddha as skillful means designed to teach beings of different capacities. This contempt itself is a powerful affliction klesha. Once an afflicted mind arises, your starting point is already wrong, regardless of what you do. Part R. Contempt is the enemy of compassion. Think about the logic. If you utterly despise someone, do you still have the motivation to save them? You might say, even though I despise him, I am still teaching him. I am enduring my disgust to liberate him. Don't kid yourself. As my master often says, those who curse and act superior while helping are merely imposter bodhisattvas. The moment contempt arises, your heart of great compassion withers. When you look down on the low-level interests of others, you lose the ability to guide them upward from their actual point of interest. Buddhas and bodhisattvas teach by following the inclinations of sentient beings. If a being wants to become a bhikshuni, the Buddha manifests as a bhikshuni. If someone even wants to cultivate the path of Mahasvara, the Buddha will teach them how to achieve it. Why? Because the Buddha holds no prejudice. Like your ambition is too small or your learning is too poor, the Buddha reaches down to the step where the person is currently standing and pulls them up. If you find the very step they are standing on to be too dirty to touch, you will never be able to reach their hand. Part San. What does it feel like to be as low as a dog? There is another shocking vow in the scripture. If I cannot skillfully subdue my body and generate thoughts of being lowly, like a Kandala or a dog, I would then be deceiving the Tathagata. A Kandala was the lowest, most marginalized class in ancient India. This vow means I must crush my own arrogance and imagine myself as the lowliest of persons, or even like a household dog. Does this sound spineless? Or perhaps like masochism? Actually, this is the most advanced secret of spiritual practice. My master once joked that he feels he is slightly better than dog dung, only because he doesn't smell as bad. This is a deep psychological experiment. When you place yourself at the very bottom, you lose the burden of ego defense. Your light of wisdom can then break through the thick grime of pride. We can see this in worldly affairs as well. Truly successful people like Elon Musk, or top players in politics and business, when they face their career goals or a client they need to win over, they exhibit a form of loyalty and low posture that resembles a servant or a dog. They serve and toil for their interests without letting personal pride interfere. Water flows to the lowest point. That is why the ocean can receive 100 rivers. If you always try to hold yourself high, people see you as someone putting on airs. Those who originally wanted to support or help you will see your unapproachable attitude and simply walk away. Part 6. Praising oneself and deprecating others. We must discuss an extremely common bad habit Admo Tarsana Parvagatana, praising oneself and deprecating others. In other words, finding ways to brag about yourself while stepping on someone else. Admo Tarsana Parvagatana. Some say, if I don't show off, how will people know I am capable? If I don't sing, how will they know I have a good voice? But the truth is, when you perform with the heart of showing off, it triggers a rebound effect in others. People already have pride. Your self-praise triggers their resentment. My master has a vivid metaphor. Self-praise is like turning your own merits into manure. You think you are displaying a treasure, but in the eyes of others, you are creating a disgusting image. Every time you praise yourself, you are selling out your merits. And you reselling them poorly, people don't buy it. And they'll go out of their way to avoid you. And what about deprecating others? Slandering others is even more terrifying. The Diamond Sutra mentions a principle: if you are slandered by others, your past karmic obstacles are extinguished because of it. Think about the reverse. When you slander, curse, or nitpick others, you are acting as a garbage collector. You are personally taking the bad karma and negative results of others and moving them onto yourself through your own mouth. The more you curse, the more you carry. You think you are striking your enemy, but you are actually suffering on their behalf. This is the worst deal in the world. Part 2. How to infuse this wisdom of non-contempt. Hearing this, you might ask, I understand the theory, but I can't help myself. This arrogance is a deep-seated habit. What should I do? Here, we look to the infusion method of Mahastamaprapta Bodhisattva, the person perfumed by incense. A worker in an incense factory smells of incense even after taking a shower at the end of the day. This is infusion. The reason we can teach change is that we haven't infused the realization of how terrifying these afflictions are. We just listen and let it go. We don't constantly contemplate. The mind of contempt is like acid, corroding my good connections. Practice isn't a one-time explosion, it is a training that lasts 30 years. Just like my master memorizing scriptures, that is decades of infusion until that wisdom becomes part of his blood. When you truly realize that praising oneself and deprecating others is an act of self-harm, the moment the urge to show off arises, you will jump back as if seeing a pit of fire, rather than having to force yourself to suppress it. Friends, the great bodhisattvas are always extremely humble when teaching. Avalokitesvara would say to Sudana, I only understand this one method of great compassion. I am not like other bodhisattvas who have limitless merits. This isn't just modesty, it is setting an example. If we want our lives to be smooth, our careers to succeed, and our merits to stop leaking away, remember to stop being the judge sitting on high, and start being a loyal protector. Try to place yourself low, like the earth that supports all things, or like water that nourishes in silence. When you stop being busy trying to prove how strong you are, that is when true strength begins. Thank you for listening to today's sharing of subtle Dharma from the Australia Buddhist Path Association. If you felt touched by this content, would you be willing to try a small experiment for the next 24 hours? Try not to harbor a single thought of contempt toward anyone, even someone you find unbearable. Let us start with this little test. See you next time.